progress report often when we have outstanding recommendations from a previous audit that we've done and we're not ready to do a follow-up audit yet. So in some instances we do a progress report because a lot of time has elapsed and the entity hasn't implemented the recommendations yet. In this instance, we just felt that it was important to go back and that Albertans would be interested in how the progress was going, and so we wanted to do an update on that. One of the reasons we did the original audit is because there's been a number of issues within the school division that have been very long-standing. And one of the things that we heard from the community when we went out there to Northlands is that they've had many reports, but often there isn't a lot of follow-up done, and they don't see the action happening. And so one of the commitments we actually made to the community is that the way that we structure our work, we do go back and follow up until the improvements have been made. And so this was our way of just checking in and making sure that things are on track and providing some feedback and an assessment back to the division and the department on the progress that's been made to date. We looked at the systems to improve attendance within the school division. And so during that work, we made three recommendations. We made two to the division. One was that they needed to have a comprehensive plan to improve attendance, and that they needed to improve their systems to monitor their attendance processes. And then we made one recommendation to the Department of Education, and that was that they needed to provide oversight to the division in making these changes. So what the division needs to continue to do, we found that they have started to make some progress and made progress that we expected on one of the recommendations, and that was to put some of the fundamental pieces in place in terms of monitoring, in terms of streamlining their attendance codes so that all the schools are using the same set of codes, for instance. So they've started to do some of that real fundamental work within each of the schools. But it's still not centralized around this plan, right? Where they can really understand what their goals are and where they're going and how they're going to get there.
A plan matters because it helps you kind of cut through the noise in whatever it is that you're trying to do. You have a goal, something that you want to achieve, and you know that you need to get there, but how to do it, and how to do it in a world that's noisy and busy and complicated, and there's all sorts of other priorities that are coming up. So planning really helps you cut through that. It's like when you go to the grocery store with a list versus going there without a list. If you have a list, you go and you hit off those things that you need to get, you come out, you've maintained your grocery budget for the week, you're good to go. You go in without a list, and you come out with a cart full of things that you didn't need, you overspent your budget, and you get home and you realize, I still forgot the milk. So planning really, really matters, and that's what we're trying to get at here, is all of the good work that the division and the department are doing right now is in sort of a situation where it's at risk, essentially, because it's not centralized under a comprehensive plan that sort of guides who's going to do what, how much is it going to cost, how much resources do we have, and where do we want to put them in order to get the maximum effect, and ultimately, how are we making sure this is going well? How is that being monitored? How is it being tracked? Who needs to know, and how are they getting that information?
It's important because the students in Northland School Division deserve to have a system that works for them, where the school division is able to understand their needs, what barriers and challenges they're having with attendance, and to provide the adequate support that they need to improve their attendance.
At the end of the day, yeah, it matters because this is 2,700 children, young people who can be the future for their communities and for the province if they're supported enough to get through school. And part of that support means making sure that they are actually able to attend.